Good day, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Favi, and welcome back to Arrows DIY. On my channel, I love creating Dollar Tree DIYs, high-end dupes, thrift flips, and the occasional trashed treasure. Always on a budget. This is the first of my fall series, and today I have 5 DIYs to show you, each under $5. So I hope you guys enjoy, and if you do, you already know what to do. All right, let's get started. So for this first project, I got this pumpkin from Dollar Tree, the one that says Welcome Fall. I've had it in my stash for a year and it's about time to use it. I'm going to use this chippy paint technique for my sweet friend Mary Beth over at MB Gray Designs. And the first thing you want to do is give this pumpkin one good coat of paint. This paint is Fresh Earth by Home Decor and I love this color. So now you're going to take a wax candle. Any candle will do. If you don't have a wax candle, a wax melt, any wax, and you're just going to randomly rub it throughout after the paint is dry. Now I'm going to go in and we're going to add the second coat of paint. I'm using French Linen by Home Decor chalk paint, and once that's fully dry, I'm going to use my favorite scraper. This scraper is from the kitchen section at Dollar Tree, and I love this tool. You'll see me use this tool throughout this video. And as you can see, I'm just going to scrape it. You could scrape as little or as much as you want. And obviously we're going for a distressed look. This is going to be rustic and nature. So once I was happy with that, I go in with the wax candle again. We're just going to go and just rub wherever you want. Now, wherever you rub the candle most, that will preserve those areas of paint. So once I rubbed the candle as much as I wanted, I'm going to go in with this other color called Pine by Home Decor. Once again, a plaid product. And once it's nice and dry, I'm going to go in and scrape it once again. Now I was going for a rustic pumpkin vibe, so all my colors today are very natural, kind of traditional, but not really. Now I like the pumpkin as this. I think this would be beautiful just like this, but I was just curious to see what happens if we add more paint, right? So we have 3 layers on there, but now I'm going to mix my own orange paint. I don't have any orange because I'm not a big orange fan, but I'm going to mix my own using these 2 colors. So I'm going to do the same wax technique after the paint is dry. And now I'm going to mix this color called Pioneer Red, a chalk paint. It's more like a red orange. And then I'm going to mix in this other color. It's like a light green, kind of like a yellow lime green, and we're going to mix those 2 together. The lime green is called Fiddlehead Fern, and I literally bought it just because it's called the Fiddlehead Fern. All right, once I mix those 2 in equal parts, I got this lovely orange color and I painted the entire thing. Once it was nice and dry, I go ahead and do the same thing we did. Just scrape it. Now, this coat of paint I left overnight, so it was a lot harder to scrape it off. So I really struggled. So if you're going to do this technique, I recommend letting your paint dry fully, but try to scrape it off the same day. It was a lot harder and not impossible, but you know. So I scraped like crazy. My vision for this project was to have a mostly white pumpkin. Before adding the last layer of paint, which is Farmhouse White, I did go in with the wax one more time, and when I added the wax, I made sure to do it in a round formation to kind of accentuate the shape of a pumpkin and kind of mimic the grooves on a pumpkin. So you'll see now, after this white paint is dry, when I scrape this one, the chippy paint comes out in a more of a curved chippiness. So it'll have like a curved formation, which I really like. So that was because the wax that I applied right before the last layer of paint was in that curved formation. So I really like how this one turned out. I love the colors kind of peeking through that white paint, and I think it looks so natural and I love it. Now we have to paint the stem or the peduncle and we're going to just use some Bark Brown. This is an acrylic paint and I kind of watered it down because I wanted it to look streaky. And now the fun part, we're just going to add the whole thing was fun for me, but we're just going to add the florals now. You can add whatever florals you like, whatever you have on hand. If you don't like florals, you could totally just add a bow or nothing. You could also add some suede string, whatever you like, some twine. I mean, you could take this in so many different directions. I also add some white greenery I had on hand, as well as a twine bow. So for the twine bow, I just wrap the twine around my fingers about 20 times. Nothing fancy, because I want this to look very rustic and organic in textures. So I tie it off once I wrapped it, just made a very rustic bow. And I made it small so that the pumpkin still looks very plump. That's why I made the bow so small. Now I wanted it to be a little bit more pronounced, so I added some greenery on top that kind of made me think of a pumpkin patch. And that's how it turned out. I think it's cute. I really like it, but I want to know what you think. So let me know in the comments below what you think about this one, or if you would try the chippy paint technique. It was a lot of fun. All right, so for this next project, I'm going to be using this word from the Dollar Tree. It's relatively big. It's not one of those small words. It's about 15 inches by 5 inches. So for this one, we're going to go in with the same farmhouse white, and I'm going to use the same wax technique, not chippy paint, but I love the way the wax candle adds resistance for the paint. It doesn't allow the paint to stick in certain parts and acts as a natural barrier. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm just going to add wax randomly throughout, focusing on the edges. And then if there's any globs of wax, I actually just rubbed them in a little bit, and I left the globs there because I like the variety in texture. So then I just go in with a regular, just Dollar Tree kid brush, and I just paint the entire thing white. I try not to put too much paint because you don't want it to be drippy and goopy and gross. You want it to look as neat as possible. So anytime I went into those little crevices and nooks and crannies, I made sure to paint the front after so that any of those drips were caught. I also dry brushed the back because I don't know. I just dry brushed the back because it looked hideous with drops of paint. So I had to do the back. Okay. So I finally found some tumbling tower blocks, and this is probably the only DIY I'm going to be able to use them with, and you'll see in a second. My little one was in the craft space taking all the tumbling tower blocks. All right, so we're going to make like a little nugget of 3 tumbling tower blocks stacked, and then we're just going to attach 8 of those nuggets. So we have 8 sets of 3. And then we're just going to hot glue them together. I like to use Gorilla Hot Glue. It says it's great for wood as well as metal and, you know, pretty much any material. And I'm using a high temperature glue gun. I did not antique wax this project because I do think that antique wax affects the stick, the bond of your hot glue. So I opted to use paint instead. And the paint I used was burnt umber. So I took some burnt umber and I'm going to water it down a little tiny bit. And now I'm just going to paint this entire rectangle we just made. So I could have totally used a bigger paintbrush, but I didn't. It was okay. I was just relaxing painting here. And once I painted the top, the front, the sides, all of it, I just took a baby wipe and brushed off the excess. And I kind of wanted to take most of the paint off, kind of using it as a stain, using the paint as a stain. Now I'm going to go in with a sandpaper. This is from the Dollar Tree, the sandpaper, and an 150 grit. And I'm just lightly distressing. I don't want it to be heavily distressed. I want to use this piece throughout my house for the fall season. And it's just going to float around my house because I change my decor so often. So as you can see, I'm focusing mostly on the edges of the word. And I love using the sandpaper because you can fold it as small as you need to get it in any nooks and crannies. I also took off any brackets in the back, any excess twine, and it looks a lot better. Oh, there you go. See, this little boy was just in the craft space taking all the tumbling tower blocks because he knows I was focused on my distressing, and he was trying to reach the other one, but he couldn't reach it. All right, anyways, so now we're going to attach the two pieces together. I had an OCD moment where I needed that specific spot to be covered where the first nugget met the second nugget. I wanted that crease to be covered by the word to help it look less like tumbling tower blocks. I marked off the sections where this word would touch the tumbling tower block base we made, and then I just hot glued those sections. And then I just held the word down and pressed down until the hot glue fully set and it all felt secure. And that's how it looks. Let me know what you think. Now this project is inspired by Robin. This is a DIY that Robin made last year. And Robin from Robin's Buys and DIYs. So she made this project using her scroll saw. I don't have a scroll saw, but inspiration comes from everywhere. So I really liked how her project turned out and I wanted to try it for myself. So using my favorite scraper and this wood plaque that I got from Family Dollar, it was on sale. I bought it after the Easter season, but I like the size of this board. It was originally $5, but I think I got it for $1. I'm pretty sure, because I would never pay $5. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and use the scraper, and what I like to do is just scrape like one swift motion, trying to keep the scraper as close to the board, as flat onto the board as possible. And I just scraped off those words, and I was so happy that I got to keep them because I'll use them in the next, well, no, on the last project today, which is kind of my favorite project, but I don't know. You let me know. And the truck, I didn't really care so much about the truck because I have so many trucks I got on sale. So I got a whole bunch of trucks at Family Dollar for 25 cents because they were like out of season. But we all know that trucks are year round, so I'm excited to use those as well. Now, once I cleaned off this entire wood plaque, I went ahead and I just wiped it with a baby wipe. And now I'm just going in with this glossy black paint from Apple Barrel. And I'm going to paint the whole thing using my wide brush, my wide paintbrush. I tried to be as neat as possible. I apologize, my kids are kind of playing, I think, in the next room. So I just went ahead and I painted this whole thing to the best of my ability. It wasn't perfect, but I don't mind it. I'm not perfect, so my project will not be perfect. But I think it came out really pretty. I also put too much paint, so I took some of the paint off and scraped it back into my bottle because waste not, need not, right? All right, so now I have this little rectangle from Michael's. I got it for $1, and I'm just taking all the hardware and hangers off, as well as a sticker. I set that aside because we're going to use it in a second. Originally, I wanted to use the wooden crates, but I didn't have any on hand, so I'm just going to build my own crate. I'm going to cut off this rectangular section, the back of the truck, and I'm just going to set it aside. Now I'm going to add some Mod Podge. I use some paper Mod Podge. I try to make it as thin as possible because the calendar page is a very finicky material, but I think it's pretty, so I wanted to use it. Now, a sweet subscriber told me that I could take the wrinkles off of my projects using parchment paper and an iron. So my iron is on a low setting with no steam at all, and I'm waiting for the Mod Podge to fully dry. Once the Mod Podge is fully dry, you want to go in and keep your iron moving back and forth. Now I'm showing you here that it's not perfect because I did not wait for my Mod Podge to fully dry. It's the scientist in me wanted to see what happened if I didn't wait, and it didn't work that well. But you'll see in a little bit that I did wait for the Mod Podge to fully dry. You hear that, Robin? The Mod Podge fully dried. And then once it was fully dry, I went in with the iron. So now I'm going to add this thankful word, the back of the truck, to the front of this crate. I apologize, I lost the footage of me building the crate, but basically I just used craft sticks secured with more craft sticks in the back, and I just stacked 3 craft sticks on top of each other. So I go ahead and I do the same thing to the face of this thankful back of the truck. And I did go in with the X-Acto knife again because I wanted those little bubbles to be flat. I didn't want it to be perfect because I did want it to look a little rustic, but I wanted them a little flatter than they were. So I'm going to slow this down here. You can see how I build the crate in the back there. I just used some popsicle sticks to reinforce. And I attached that to the crate. I also cut that rectangular piece in half that I got from Michael's using my miter shears. It was not easy to cut that. But if you can find a crate, I'm telling you, just use the wooden crate from Dollar Tree. It's just, you could just skip that whole step altogether and just add the thankful word to that. Once the back of the truck was adhered with hot glue, I used Gorilla Hot Glue. I just added some pool noodle. I added some pool noodle to the back of the truck just to stuff it and to help secure the florals. So now I'm just stuffing the florals in between the pool noodle and the crate, just to add some tension and keep them in place. I did not use hot glue, but you are welcome to use hot glue for your project if you want it to be more permanent. Now I'm going in with this hula skirt at the bottom there just to add some fall vibes, and I thought I was going to go around the entire frame, but I changed my mind. I taped off the bottom of the hula skirt so it didn't make a crazy mess, and then I cut off about an inch just to add some fall vibes. I also took some more raffia and I tied it into a knot, and then I just stuffed it inside the crate to add some more fall texture to the back of our truck. I did not add a lot of pumpkins to the back of the truck because the picture, the calendar page already had pumpkins, a picture of pumpkins in the back of the truck. So that's why I opted for florals and 1 pumpkin, but you could do whatever you like. If you like pumpkins in the back of your truck, I think it would be really cute to have a variety of colors, a variety of pumpkins in the back of your truck. So that's how it turned out. Let me know what you think. I really like this one. I think it's super cute. Now for this next project, I'm going to be using this bud vase from the Dollar Tree, and it's an interesting shape. That's why I picked it. However, in hindsight, I think it might be easier to use a cylinder that's straight all the way down. That way you don't run into the problem I'm about to run into. I also used this twisted poly rope from the Dollar Tree because I like the texture that it adds. I wanted to create kind of like a wheat vase to so it's like a farmhouse bundle of wheat. That's a vase. I hope you can follow me here. Just, it comes out cute, but it's definitely not common. So I hope you find some inspiration in this video, some ideas that you like. And if you don't, it's fine. I mean, let me know in the comments below what you would have done different. Your comments are always welcomed here. So now I'm going to go in. You're going to need a good pair of scissors. And I'm just going to hot glue this poly rope to this glass. And I'm using a high temperature glue gun. Starting from the bottom, making sure that the bottom is very lined up to keep it nice and neat. And then the top of the vase, I left about a 4-inch overhang. And you'll see what we'll do with that in about a second. A little bit more than a second, not literally a second. In a moment, I should say. So very simple. I just go in with some Gorilla Hot Glue and this poly rope, and I just cover the entire vase. Once the vase started getting a little too curvy, I continued adding the poly rope to the other side of the vase until the entire thing was covered. Once I got to the end, it got kind of tricky, kind of an eyesore, So what I opted to do was cover it with a ribbon. Now I wanted to put a ribbon from the beginning because I wanted it to look like a bundle of wheat. So I didn't mind it. If you find a crazy piece of poly rope, just cut it off and continue. It took about 2 packs of this twisted poly rope, which is available at the hardware section at Dollar Tree. So it's very simple. If you add hot glue somewhere you don't want to, you could just scratch it off because it's glass. It's very simple to do. You just really need a good pair of scissors because I used a different pair at the beginning and I almost got arthritis, people. It was a struggle to cut through this. So you want a good pair of heavy duty scissors. My husband took mine, I borrowed them. He borrowed them and never gave them back. So that's why I struggled in the beginning of this project. But I happened to find another one that worked really well. And this is a piece of cake to do as long as you have a good pair of scissors. I cannot stress how important a good pair of scissors is because I'm stubborn and the beginning of this project could have been way easier if I just got a better pair of scissors. Okay. So now I'm going to go all the way down the length, up the length of this. And at the bottom here, this is the eyesore part. I'm like, why? But it came out fine. I just made a V formation with the poly rope, starting at the bottom with the peak in the center, coming all the way down. It turned out fine. It's not even noticeable, to be honest. If your project comes out kind of messy, just make that the back of your vase. But honestly, you can't even notice it after the ribbon's on there. So just bear with me a little bit and you'll see the last project, which is I love the last project. I think it's so beautiful and so simple, so farmhouse. I really liked these projects today. I hope you like them too. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and just continue as before, hot gluing all this poly rope to cover the full glass vase. We want to see no glass vase. Now once this is fully attached and kind of a hot mess in the back, I'm going to trim off the bottom there so that it's nice and flat and use little pieces to cover anything that I didn't want to show. And now we're going to go in with this parchment color. You could use any color. I just like the muted tone of this parchment. If you're more into like the yellowy wheat, go ahead and make your project the yellowy wheat. I just like this muted tone. I'm not really a yellow or orange type person. In my decor, you won't really see yellow. You won't really see orange, even for fall. But you want to go in and paint all of this. I did add a little bit of water to my paintbrush to help the paint glide and go into every single nook and cranny on this poly rope. But it's very helpful to use the water to help your paint not be so thick and to cover well. Now I also painted the top of the spraggly bits on top. I had a vision. I really wanted it to look bushy on top, so it kind of gives you the vibe of wheat. So that's what I'm doing. I'm just unraveling the top portion of this. I could have painted it more, but I actually like the white peeking through. Now I'm going to go in with this burlap ribbon to cover the ugly bits and to help it look like the vision I had in my mind. I just wanted it to look farmhouse, like a bundle of wheat. I think I've said that several times. I think you understand what I'm saying. So once the burlap was on there, I go with another ribbon. And this is the small ribbon, the lace ribbon that I love so much from the Dollar Tree. And I just put 2 ribbons across with the scallop edges facing opposite directions. You can use whatever ribbon you like. I'm sure you know this. So I'm going to use 2 of these bouquets from the Dollar Tree. They have sunflowers as well as pumpkins and some pine cones and some yellow florals there, which give me all the fall feels. So I went ahead and just stuffed it in there, and that's it for this project. Super simple, unique for sure. I mean, I don't think I've ever seen anything like this, so I hope you like it. Let me know in the comments below if I've lost my mind. It's highly likely. There it is. I think it's so pretty. Let me know what you think. Do you get the vision I was going for? All right, so now we're gonna take this project from DIY number 3 and we're gonna flip it over because I love making two-sided decor. I'm gonna pop off the sticker. No, I did not pay $5. That's what I'm saying. There's no way I paid $5. No way. And I'm gonna use this new 2023 calendar, which I found and I'm so excited about. So I got a couple for you guys for a giveaway coming up soon, probably in my next video. I'm going to be giving away some of these objects I use in this DIY. So some calendars, as well as some stencils and some stickers and some rub-ons, some farmhouse stuff from Dollar Tree. So stay tuned if you like those things. Stay tuned if you don't like those things. Just stay tuned and be a pal. All right, I'm going to go ahead and take this calendar page and I'm just going to tear the edges. So I just folded it in half because this needs to happen today. I made sure not to crease the calendar page. So I took off the word happy off the top and I just made it nice and a jagged edge. So once that's all done, I used the glue stick. I thought it would help me a little bit better, but my glue stick was all weird and melted and ugh, it was a day. It was really hot in my craft space, if you could tell by my watch. It was so hot. But anyways, I hope you guys are staying cool in this heat. I went in off camera and I also ironed this one with the parchment paper as well to get the wrinkles out. Now this farm fresh word we scraped off earlier, I went in and I painted it black using the same glossy paint from project number 3. And I'm going to use this farmer's market stencil. So I actually centered it onto the pumpkin and used a fine tip Sharpie to stencil this entire thing. This is not a gripped stencil, so you want to be sure to hold it in place and hold it inch by inch as you use it. You could also tape it using some painter's tape. And once I finished the center of the pumpkin, I went into the bottom and I added those local and fresh words on the sides. As you can see, I did not trace the chicken in the middle of the harvest word. I just wanted the farmer's market word and the words local and fresh. Then I just freehanded the and symbol. And now we're just going to attach the greenery to the top. So this is just greenery I had on hand. I think my mom gave me this greenery. I have no idea where it came from. But use whatever you want, or no greenery, or some twine would be cute as well. I ended up opting for raffia, so you could also use raffia, whatever you like. I mean, the sky's the limit, right? Just have fun with your project. So I go in and I just add a variety of ribbon. I also tack down some of the leaves so that you kind of get the pumpkin patch vibes. And this is the part where I just took some raffia. I literally just twisted the middle. No knots, no anything. I just twisted the center and hot glued it right to the middle like that. And I was happy with that. You could trim it down a little bit, but I like the wild, raggly nature of it. So I just left it long and kind of crazy. And now I hot glued the words backwards because it was a day that day. I just put it backwards, but hey, whatever. I guess my farm is just called Fresh. My farm is called Fresh. So Fresh Farm, Farmer's Market Harvest. I still get the vibes. The farmhouse vibes on here. I know it is too late. Oh no! The hot glue set. It's backwards. But my husband didn't notice and I asked him, hey, what's wrong with this? He was like, nothing. So I consider it a win in my book. But anyways, that's all the projects I have for you today. Don't mind the crayon on the wall. Let me know what you think about these. I really like using these Dollar Tree calendars. It's always fun to just use your creativity. Can you stop? I need to take a picture. I need to take a picture, buddy. Oh my goodness, I think he likes. So as you can see, the struggles are real over here in this house. That is not staying there. I'm going to move it somewhere so he doesn't do that again. But these are all the projects that I shared with you today. Hope you enjoy. This was so much fun to create. I love the fall, so stay tuned for more fall decor coming very, very soon. So today I'm bringing you some Dollar Tree DIYs using the Dollar Tree window clings. These are the window clings that I love and I was able to find at my Dollar Tree. So I'm so excited to show you some really cute projects. For project number 1, we're going to be using this sign. I've had it for some time on my stash and I'm really trying to craft through my stash. So I'm going to go ahead and struggle to take this little pumpkin. Super simple. This first one is, I'm not even sure if we can call it a DIY, but I did it myself, so I think it counts. We're going to take some Mod Podge and put a little bit in the middle of that wreath. I did not remove the wreath because I wanted to keep it super simple, but you could totally take it off with a heat gun and you know, just rip it off and put it back on later, or change the greenery out for another one. But I just thought this was super cute. Now when I'm adding this Mod Podge to the back of this window cling, I try to keep it very thin, and then I'm just going to carefully place it in the center of that wreath, removing any leaves out of the way and just pressing it down very well. I wanted to be sure that this Mod Podge wasn't going to get stuck under the window cling and not show, but I was so delighted to see that the Mod Podge completely dried clear even if it was under the window cling, and I'll show you that in a bit. So this is how it's turning out. It's super simple, but I think it's super cute and makes the sign reversible. So now we're going to flip the sign over and we're going to take off the sticker, which was very simple this time around. I'm going to go ahead and give this entire thing a coat of this plaster chalk paint, and I'm going to give it 3 coats. I did not remove the hanger because I wasn't sure where this project was going. I was kind of just creating. I love creating on a budget. If you're new here, my name is Favi. I am a crafty mother of 6 and I just love creating on my spare time. It's my crafty therapy, my me time, and for my sanity really. So I'm so happy you're here. Please subscribe if you want to see more of what I make in this house. So now I'm using these window clings, and I'm going to use these poster stickers as well. Now these poster stickers are amazing. I use them all the time in my projects. If you don't have a Cricut, this is an awesome alternative. I'm going to go ahead and start spelling the word on the top right of this sign, and I'm just going to use the edge of the sign to help me space these letters. So I'm trying to keep the bottom of these letters the same distance from the sign. And I'll start with the end of the word. I'm sure by now you can guess what I'm spelling. Yes, pumpkin. And I'm going to go ahead and just press these letters down real good to make sure they have a good bond. When I was drying my paint, I put the heat gun close to the chalk paint to cause a little crackle in the corner there, so that's what you're seeing, but that was totally on purpose. I like distressed looks, but sometimes I distress heavier than others, and this one I wanted a very light distressing. So I'm going to go ahead and just take this window cling and we're going to use the word hello. After I remove it, I just cut the end of the word hello to just make it curved like the rest of the window cling, and we're going to put it like so. What I love about these window clings is it allows you to get a high-end look for a very low cost. So now I'm going to take some Mod Podge and I'm going to apply a very thin layer all around the back of the window cling, and I'm going to press it down with my fingers. It's very important not to pull the cling because you can distort the shape, and you don't want to use your nails at all because it will leave a print on the plastic. So just gently with your fingertips press it down all around to smooth it down. You could also use a brayer if you want to. I just used my fingers and that worked out well for me. So once it was all pressed down and adhered, we're just going to seal the entire thing with Mod Podge. So I put a good layer, a thick layer of Mod Podge on there because I was trying to match the level of the window cling. I wanted the surrounding of the window cling, that border, not to show as much. So I thought that if I put Mod Podge at the same level of it, that it would help disguise that border. And I think it did. Now I'm using a shiny coat Mod Podge. It's the only one I had left on my stash when I recorded this video. Now obviously I have matte Mod Podge. So if you don't like a sheen or a high gloss finish on your projects, you can definitely use the matte Mod Podge instead. So I go ahead and I give the entire thing one good coat of Mod Podge. And remember, Mod Podge dries clear, so no worries. And I make sure to get all the way to the edges of the sign. Once it's all done, this is what it's looking like. And as a finishing touch, I just took some of these cupcake picks in a 20 piece and I cut off some of the pumpkins on top. Some of them just pop right off, but other ones I had to cut off. So I took 2 of them and cut them off. I ended up just using 1, but I'll show you 2 ways you can embellish this. I had to use scissors to cut this one off. So now we're just gonna take some jute twine and we're going to wrap it very, very heavily around the top of the sign just to cover the beginnings of the hanger. And I kept it really thick and I'm just going to secure it in the back with some hot glue. Then I made a simple shoestring bow with the jute twine, and now I added some of those pumpkin picks at the bottom. I do end up changing my mind later, so you'll see that in a second, but this is how this adorable little pumpkin sign turned out. Let me know what you think about this one in the comments below. I think it's adorable, but I think it's so cute. You guys let me know what you think in the comments below. It's super simple and the perfect layering piece for my home. For this next project, we're going to be using this ornament sign from the Dollar Tree from the Christmas time. I'm going to go ahead and just remove the hanger as well as this metal top piece with my bare hands because I couldn't find the tool. All right, so now we're just going to flip it over and we're going to use some tape. I could not find anything this day in my craft space. I don't know. Everything was right in front of me, but I couldn't find it when I needed it. So I'm just using this high quality masking tape, just clear tape. I'm going to tape it to the top third of the sign and I'm going to paint the top in this Waverly chalk paint in the color plaster. I give it 2 coats to give it a nice solid color, and I make sure to cover the edges as well. As I was showing you this, I noticed I missed a spot, so I'm just touching that up and letting it dry. So now my favorite part, we're going to reveal that crisp line, and I was super happy with that. That part is always so satisfying. It does not get old. So now we're going to go in with some window clings. I wasn't sure which ones to use at this point, so I was just playing around with different clings. Make sure your paint is totally dry before you try this. But my original idea was to use the truck window clings instead. So I just went back to my original idea, and I'm going to use the word fall for this one. Now, I just love the fall. Guys, the fall is my favorite. I am a fall baby. I was born in the fall, and I just love everything about the cozy and the vibes of fall. So this sign is definitely a homage to fall. I'm going to go ahead and just put all the fall things on this sign. Now, I'm going to show you 2 versions of how you could have designed this sign. You could totally use this one window cling pack if you want. So as you can see here, I'm going to show you quickly how I arranged all of the leaves and all the fall things from this window cling. But I don't know. I think it was cute. It just wasn't really the vibe I was going for. So I ended up just scrapping this. Let me know if you think this one was cute. It is cute. I just wasn't going for this. This was not what was in my mind's eye. So I'm going to go ahead and just scrap this design, however cute it is, and I'm going to try something else. So I love the word fall from this window cling, but I wanted to use the decals from the other window cling. So far this project's running us about $3. And you know I love budget decor. I'm going to go ahead and use this window cling instead.
And I'm not going to use the center one. I'm going to use all the other embellishments around because I just love the watercolor effect of this window cling. It definitely goes with the colors that I'm using for this fall. So as you can see here, I'm going to show you how I arrange these window clings. And it took me some time, but remember, this is just fun for me. I take my time, I create from the heart. So once I put the leaves on the left side of that, I really like how it looked. I was happy with that. So now I just continue adding all the fall things from this sign. So we got sweater weather, we got pumpkin spice, which is my favorite. Let me know below which one is your favorite fall drink. Whether it's cider, hot chocolate, whatever you like, let me know below. So here I'm also putting the pumpkin and these two little decals on the side, kind of like these leaves, these vine little doodles. I'm gonna put them around this pumpkin sign. So once I arrange them like this, I really like how they look. Now, I apologize for the shine. It is gonna go away if you use matte Mod Podge. My sign is shiny because I used a high gloss finish on mine. So once I arranged them how I liked, make sure the spacing was correct, I added the Mod Podge. So now I'm gonna add a good amount of Mod Podge and I'm gonna go section by section so I don't lose the placement of my decals. It's okay if they move a little tiny bit, but I just didn't want to forget the arrangement. So I removed the word fall, I add a good amount of Mod Podge, and I'm going to put them right back in the same place where I had them originally. Now when I put the Mod Podge, I try to keep it in one direction because when it dries, you do see the direction of your brush strokes. You do see the direction of your brush strokes. Wow, I can't say brush strokes. Well, now I can. Okay, so then as you can see here, I just removed the leaves, I put the Mod Podge on, and then we just put the leaves right back on. This is very simple. That's what I love about this project. It's very simple to do. You could get Mod Podge at the Dollar Tree, so this can completely be done with just Dollar Tree supplies. So just going section by section, you'll be able to do this without losing your placement. Now I was worried that the Mod Podge would show underneath the window clings, and you really don't see them, which was very nice. At this point, my projects hadn't dried yet, so I wasn't sure how it was going to look once the Mod Podge dried. So this is how it looked once it was fully dry, and I was totally happy with that. There's no white spots underneath the window clings, so I considered it a win. It's such a cute sign. But just make sure to press your window clings very firmly, very securely, and you shouldn't have any issues. So now we're just gonna embellish it. To give it a finished look, I went around the edges with some jute twine and my detail tip Surebond or glue gun. It just helps get very small amounts of hot glue in very thin places. I love this for detail work. So I just put some hot glue on the edge there, and I'm gonna go ahead and put the twine in the front of the sign and kind of roll it back. So I learned that if I put the twine on this way, it leaves less glue residue and looks very neat. So what I mean is I put the twine on the front of the sign, across the front of the sign, and then I roll it back into the glue without touching the glue. If you touch the glue, it'll make your twine super goopy and messy, and we don't like that. Now, if that does happen to you where you touch the twine and your twine is now a goopy glue mess, just use your heat gun and melt the hot glue away from the twine. Just a little tip if you want to have your twine looking high end. So I just go around and do the same thing all around this round, and I just do it one time. I go around one time. Now my hot glue got a little dry on me, so I did have to warm it up with the heat gun, and then I just cleaned up any hot glue mess with the heat gun. And then I just go around and do this for the entirety of the sign. Now once I tack down both of the ends at the top there, I'm going to go ahead and add some more jute twine. And I pull a whole bunch through the loop, and then I just decided to cover the hanger portion with the jute twine. So it's very simple. I just make sure to keep it tight, close together, so that there's no pieces of the hanger showing in between the twine. And I do that for the entirety of the hanger portion. Now if you come to a spot that looks crazy, like my jute twine here got crazy on me, I just cut off that section and hot glued it and continued with a new piece of jute twine. So as you can see here, I kept it very tight and I just wound it around that hanger portion, the top part of the hanger portion. Then I just secured it on the back with some hot glue and cut off the excess jute twine. And I love the rustic feel that this jute twine adds to the sign. It definitely helps it look way more high-end. So I think the details is definitely what makes your project stand out from the rest. So we're going to go ahead and now add a bow. I got this ribbon from Dollar Tree. It is wired, and like I said, I'm really trying to craft through my stash. So I do add another ribbon that I got at Michael's for $1. If I find another place that sells budget-friendly craft materials, I will buy them. I do not discriminate against any store or any company that's going to give me a good deal. We're crafting on a budget. So now, as you can see here, I made a very simple bow. I just made 2 tails and I folded over a bow. And I'm going to do 2 bows. So this is the first one. I'm going to hot glue it in place. This is very simple to do because this ribbon is very stiff. So as you can see there, I'm just hot gluing the tails of the bow on first. And once they're hot glued in place, I'm going to push the middle of the bow down onto our sign. And I try to keep the bow centered. So I just pay attention to make sure the loops are even on both sides before I push the middle down. And that's how we're looking. Now for the second bow, I got this beautiful flower sack looking ribbon at Michael's. I got it for $1. With Michael's, sometimes you should check the prices because the ribbon don't always cost what the tag says. This tag was saying the ribbon was $3, but when I scanned it, it was $1. So I've gotten really good deals on ribbon. As you can see here, I just tied it into a simple bow. I show you later on how I make a simple bow. It's just like your shoelaces, very simple. And then I fold over the edges and cut it on a diagonal to make that dovetail. So I'm just adding a little ripple effect into the wire of the ribbon and then hot gluing the corner of one tail to not block any of our decals on this sign. And I think it looks so cute. To help finish it off, I just added a little wooden star from Dollar Tree. And that's it for this project. Let me know what you think about this one. I think it's so sweet. A perfect showcase of the things we love about fall. So this is how this one turned out. Let me know in the comments below what you think about this one. I love it. Now for this next project, I'm going to be using this wood round from Dollar Tree called Decor, surprise, surprise. And we're going to be using some of these acrylic paint markers I got from Hippie Crafter. So I'll link them below if you're interested. I do like these markers. I use them, my children use them. We love them for our art projects. But anyways, if you don't use a specific color for a long time, you are going to have to freshen it up. So as you can see there, I took a little piece of paper and I shook the marker. And I also pressed the tip in just to refresh the paint and recharge it, reload the tip of the marker with more of the paint. But as you can see here, I just took some time and relaxed as the baby was taking a nap on a weekend. I was just having fun here painting. Now, I do step away many times to attend to the children, but I always come back and I try to complete this project, and this was a lot of fun. Now remember, you can use any colors you like. If you don't like the colors I choose, there's 24 colors in this pack and they have different tips, so you can replace a tip as well with some tweezers. So it's 24 markers and an extra set of 24 tips, the chisel type tips. So as you can see here, I'm just filling in these leaves, and I think this color is beautiful. It's like a tan color, and I'm just filling in all of these leaf portions. Now I do want to match the decals that I'm using, which is why I'm picking these colors. So now I go in with kind of like a greenish color, and they have 3 or 4 different types of green in this pack. And I wasn't sure which one I was going to pick, but I ended up going with this soft green color, and it's kind of like a pastel color to match the decals I'm about to use. These paint markers are a lot more convenient than using paint. It's so simple. There's no cleanup, no brushes to deal with, and they're so pigmented and simple. So I'm going to go ahead and just fill it in with this blue color. I don't know, I was just having fun here. Remember, you can pick whatever colors you like for your project. And I just went ahead and filled in the whole leaf with these colors. Now I'm going in with this orange for the pumpkin. And my tip was a little dirty because my son, my 4-year-old, was using these for a project. So he was mixing the black with the orange, and by the time I noticed, it was too late. But they do have replacement tips, so I wasn't worried about it because oranges aren't always, pumpkins are not always perfect. So I was like, it's fine, it's a little dirty, pumpkins are in dirt, it's fine. And then I put gold on the peduncle, on the little stem of our pumpkin, and I loved it. Now, to tone down the colors a little bit, just to make them more pastel and look whitewashed, I took some plaster paint and I watered it down in a plastic cup, and I just used a little craft stick to mix it through. Now I'm just going to whitewash this sign because I didn't want the wood. I didn't want the natural wood finish on this project. I wanted a little bit of a whitewashed. So now I'm going to go ahead and just whitewash it after I take off the hanger. I'm so ambitious when I'm DIYing that I forget to take off hangers. Does that happen to you? Because it happens to me all the time, as you can see. So once I finally took off the hanger, I went in and I whitewashed the entire project. This is optional, but I felt like whitewashing the wood would help these decals pop more, and I think they did. But you let me know if you would have whitewashed your project. I think it's just so pretty how soft it looks. I really like this one. I think I'm putting this one in my bathroom for the fall. So now I finally get to use this decal. Now you could put it just like this and your project is almost done if you just leave it just like this. But of course I had to take it a little further, and I'm just gonna cut out the words out of this decal. I just had a vision and I had to realize it. So I hope you're here. Hang with me. It looks really cute at the end. So I'm going to go ahead and just cut off the wreath off this decal. And I want to surround this pumpkin because that's the star of the show. Now I'm going to fussy cut a little bit closer to the leaves just to give us some room for the pumpkin to fit. The pumpkin's a little plump, so we're just going to cut this down a little closer to the leaves on the inside. I didn't worry about the outside of the wreath because it's going on the sign. There's enough space for that. So I cut off one end of the decal to see how it would fit around the pumpkin. And once I got my placement right, I noticed that the stem and a little bit of the pumpkin were in the way. So I just took a permanent marker and I marked off the areas where that stem and the side of the pumpkin touched the wreath. And I just cut off those little edges with some detailed scissors. Very simple to do, not a big deal. Now I did get some permanent marker on my project, so I just used some alcohol really quickly and it came right off. So that's another tip I learned. Alcohol takes marker off. If you take it off really quickly with alcohol, I just scratched off the permanent marker. So now I'm going to use some Mod Podge, and just as before, a very thin layer in one direction, and we're going to apply this decal to surround our beautiful pumpkin. And I'm just showing you here, this is the speed at which I work at. I just take my time. Now I am going to speed it up because I appreciate your time. But I'm just trying to teach you that Just take your time. You can make beautiful home decor, high-end looking decor with Dollar Tree supplies. And I'm always amazed at this stuff that Dollar Tree is bringing out now. It's so much better quality after the 25-cent increase, in my opinion. It's just if you're gonna find it at your Dollar Tree or not, because I cannot find the new window clings or the calendar. All right, so as you can see here, we're gonna just surround. Now, once the decal was in place, I pressed it down with my fingers, and then I just cut off the excess, whatever part of that decal is hanging over the sign. I cut it off at a 45-degree angle. So now we're gonna add the words. So this is how it's looking, but now we have to add the words. So I'm gonna go ahead and use this other piece of the wreath because I just can't waste this. Now I try to find my placement, and I tried so hard not to make it look like a baseball because it was looking like a baseball for a good amount of time. Just take your time, don't make it look like a baseball. And then I cut the words. I cut the decal with the words. I cut the decal very close to the words so that you won't see a lot of that border around the letters. And then I cut off anything that overhangs at a 45-degree angle with my scissors. And that's how we're looking. I think it's so sweet. I love these colors, and I was dying to use this decal. I just couldn't find the time last year. So hopefully you can find these decals at your Dollar Tree, or maybe you have them in your craft stash. So now I'm adding Mod Podge to the whole sign, making sure to apply it in one direction, or at least make your final strokes in one direction. And I went ahead and I sealed the pumpkin and everything else just to protect the sign and to give everything the same finish. Now I'm taking another ribbon I got from Michael's, and this was also $1, which is why I got it. Now I just make a simple shoestring bow, and I just dovetail the ends. Now nobody's bow looks good at the beginning, and almost everybody messes up a dovetail the first time. So don't worry, if you're not good at bows, it just takes practice. And don't give up on your bow. Keep pulling the tails, keep fluffing it, and you'll see it'll actually come out looking nice. Now I found this burlap ribbon at the Dollar Tree, and I'm gonna add it around the border of the sign to help it look more finished. And I think it added just the most charming detail with this scalloped ribbon. Now I'm only adhering the inner scalloped edge. I'm leaving the outer scalloped edge to the outside of the sign. Now I'm gonna put our hanger back on and attach our bow. Now I'm gonna do the same thing for these tails. I'm gonna just give them kind of like a ribbon, like they're in the wind, blowing in the wind with our zigzag approach. So I'm just gonna kind of put a wave in the ribbon and tack it down to the sides. And I continue the wave all the way to the end of the ribbon. And that's how this one turned out. I think it's so sweet. I didn't want to add too much because the sign already had a lot going on. That simple ribbon I think was the perfect touch. But you let me know in the comments below what you think about this one. I want to thank you so much for watching today, for spending time with me creating more fall inspiration. I'll leave it in my description box below. But guys, please give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed any one of these projects. If you want to see more of what I make in this house, subscribe. This is another episode in my fall series, and I'm so excited to show you guys what I've been cooking up today. These DIYs are super easy to make from Dollar Tree items, and I hope you enjoy. I got some double-sided decor today, some neutral farmhouse decor, as well as some colorful decor. So let me know what you think in the comments below. Subscribe if you haven't already, and be sure to hit that bell so you don't miss a video. All right, let's get started. So I got this cutting board sign at Dollar Tree, and I've only found one, so you know I snatched it up. And what I want to do is I want to use this technique that my friend Mary Beth at MB Gray Designs uses, and she does this to take off the paper on one side. Now
it is a little tedious, so you could skip this step altogether if you don't like this. But you basically just want to use paper towel, or I'm using wipes here because I have 5 children, so I have wipes. I basically have stock in wipes. So basically I'm just going to lay this down. You could use wipes, a towel, anything damp, and just leave it on there for a long time so that the paper gets nice and soggy. Now I'm going to use my favorite scraper from the Dollar Tree. I got it at the baking section, and I'm just going to scrape off all the paper. That way we have a nice clean surface on both sides. Like I said, you could totally skip this step if you don't want to do this. Honestly, by this point, I didn't want to do this anymore. But now that it's all done, honestly, I think I would do this again. I think it's worth the effort, but it does make a mess, so just FYI. Alright, so once everything was nice and clear, we have a good surface. I'm going to use this Mod Podge in the hard coat, and I'm just going to give this one good coat of Mod Podge. Now, I'm going to let the Mod Podge totally dry. This is basically like a Mod Podge method for no wrinkles. So, using this calendar page from the Dollar Tree, I'm just gonna pick this one. It says give thanks, and I think it's beautiful for the fall aesthetic. I'm gonna go ahead and center it to this cutting board. Now I'm gonna use this trick that my sweet subscriber told me in my last fall video. I feel like I need to redeem myself because I didn't do it right. So once the Mod Podge is nice and dry, we're gonna go in with some parchment paper and an iron. Now this is the best way I've seen to get no wrinkles on your projects. So I can see why my subscribers were raving about it. I love trying new techniques, and I really appreciate it. So thank you. So once that was nice and flat on there, no bubbles whatsoever, so nice, I went in with some sandpaper and just sanded off the edges after I trimmed them down. Now I'm going to go in with these window cling stickers. I know they look super cheap, but we're going to upgrade them big time. I'm going to use the back of this cutting board sign, and I'm just going to put the stickers on in any arrangement. I chose to put them like this, and I actually chose to layer them as well to create some depth for our piece today. So as you can see, I have the pumpkin in the center, then the gourd. Now this leaf I put right next to the stem, and that's going to give a 3D effect once we paint it and add some antiquing wax. So now I'm going to press everything nice and firm. You could add Aleene's tacky glue if you need more security on your project. I do not use hot glue because it will melt your stickers. So I'm going to go in with this chalk paint in the color sheepskin, and I'm going to give this all a really good coat. Now I want this to look rustic and distressed, so I'm going to give it a rough coat around the edges of the cutting board. I just love the way that looks. It's very farmhouse to me, some kind of French farmhouse, and I just love how that looks. So on your project, if you don't like distressed looks, give it a solid coat of paint. And that's all I'm doing. I'm going to paint the edges as well as give the stickers themselves about 2 to 3 coats. Now I give it that many coats because we want to cover the glitter that's bordering these stickers. So once I finish with that, I go in with some antiquing wax. I take the majority of the antiquing wax off of my kid paintbrush here. I got this paintbrush at the Dollar Tree as well, and it's my favorite for distressing. Once the majority of the antiquing wax was off of the brush, I lightly, barely touch this piece, and I just rather build the antiquing wax this way, because you could always add more, but you don't really want to add too much. Now it's up to you. If you like heavy distressing, hey, do what you like on your project, you know, do you, it's your project. But I wanted a nice faint distressing, so I feel like it looks a little more expensive when it's faint touches, just to give some class to this project. Now I went a little heavier on the sections in the middle of the leaves as well as the stem of the pumpkin, and I did leave the chalk paint a little bit wet. That way it gives me some grace for blending the antiquing wax. If I add too much, it allows me to take some off. and I just pounced on the antiquing wax very lightly in certain sections. Here I'm giving you a close-up so you can see exactly what it looks like. And once I was happy, I turned this board over and I painted the handle. Again, in the same sheepskin color, but you could totally use any color you like. Once that was dry, I went in with the antiquing wax only around the handle. I don't know why. I did not distress the entire board, just the handle. I don't know why. That's what I felt like doing. So I always create from the heart, and I welcome you guys to subscribe. Join us. It's totally free, and I would love to have you. Leave me a comment below if you're new here. I would love to meet you. I love talking to you guys. So I found these tags at Dollar Tree, and I think they look so expensive. They're leather, and they hold up really well to the high temperature glue gun. The high temperature hot glue, sorry. So I'm just wrapping it around, trying to do it as neat as possible, keeping the leather very flat all the way up this handle. Now on the back of the sign, well, whichever one you're looking at, I chose to cover the little dot at the top of the calendar page with this pumpkin. So I hot glued it right on top of that hole from the calendar page. And now I'm just gonna wrap this around, cutting off any excess at the edges and just trying to keep it as neat as possible so that it does have that high-end look. I love the texture that this leather adds, and I was so excited when I saw this at Dollar Tree. Now for the leaf, I kind of wanted it to hang there, but I ended up changing my mind a little. But here it is. Let me know what you think. I think it's so cute. It's gonna look so good with my other farmhouse decor. I'm going to be using this thrifted candlestick, and I love candlesticks. Oh my goodness, it's like my addiction. I am obsessed with all candlesticks. So if you're new here, let me know if you love candlesticks, because I love them. So I'm going to use this thrifted crystal candlestick as well as this little bud vase from the Dollar Tree. I thought it was a very interesting shape, and I'm just going to hot glue them to the candlestick using some E6000 as well. Once that's fully secure on there, I'm going to take this little pumpkin, this foam pumpkin from the Dollar Tree, and I'm just going to cut a circle under it. Now this circle is 1 inch wide in diameter as well as 1 inch deep. That way it fits perfectly on top of this bud vase. And I don't know if you've guessed it, but I'm trying to make a topiary, something fun for my Thanksgiving display. It's going to go perfectly with some turkeys that I made last year for my table. So I can link that video if you want to see what I made for my Thanksgiving decor last year. So once I got that hole cut out, I'm going to go in with this French linen, and it's a chalk paint, and it's so pretty. So I'm going to go in and give this pumpkin about 3 coats, but I'm only going to show you 1 coat because ain't nobody got time for that. I'm going to go ahead and just give this entire pumpkin 3 coats. Now, once that's drying, I'm going to go in with this terracotta paint. It gives an amazing texture, and the color is called Pueblo. Now, this is the same color I painted my turkeys last year. So I felt like it would be cohesive for me to add this to our little gourd display. Do you guys see the gourd? I hope you guys see the gourd. I know I'm a little kooky sometimes with my decor, but I love having fun. I love getting creative with budget-friendly DIYs. So I'm going to paint this particular piece in this terracotta color, and I'm going to build different colors and just have a lot of fun with that. So as you can see, this is the environment that I work in. My little boy's right there. All right, so now once that's fully dry, the French linen paint is dry, I'm going to go in with this moon yellow color, and I just love the way these 2 colors look together. So I'm going to go in all the grooves and just roughly accentuate the grooves with this yellow color. I just love the combination of this yellow with this gray. I know it's kind of crazy. You could totally pick any colors you like. I just like pops of color with neutral decor. Every room of my house is a different aesthetic. I have farmhouse decor, shabby chic decor in the bedroom, farmhouse decor in the living room, sometimes in the kitchen. I mean, my decor floats around my house. So you'll always see some colors with some neutral pieces. Now to help this pumpkin look a little more natural, I'm going to go in and dry brush some more French linen while the yellow paint is still wet. And that's how it looks. It helps blend it and not let the yellow in the grooves look so harsh. It softens the entire pumpkin. Helps it feel more natural. Okay, I think you get the point. So now I'm going to go in with this little tiny pumpkin from the Dollar Tree, and I'm going to mix my own color. I wanted to have kind of like a bluish, like a turquoise green. I don't know. I just mixed the colors together, Midnight Garden with Clover. And I wanted like a bluish, that's the color. I don't know how to explain it, but that's the color I was going for. I wanted it to be natural, but interesting with farmhouse flair, because this is kind of like, anyways, I just wanted to make it look like a fun pumpkin. So I give everything one good coat. I have quality control here, making sure that everything is painted to standard. And he approves. He says that the colors are good. Now, once this is dry, I'm going to go in with the color Succulent. It's like a light green. It's beautiful. And I paint all the grooves and I spatter some on the little tiny pumpkin. Now I'm going to go in with this brushed metal paint and I'm going to paint the base. I want the base to look galvanized, so I'm going to give it 2 good coats and let it fully dry. Once the candlestick is fully painted in this brushed silver color, I'm going to go in with these 3 colors. The first color is the same brushed silver by Faux. The next color is this color called Sequin Black. It's like a sparkly black. And then I have a medium gray. Now this is going to help me add the galvanized look that I want for my candlestick. I start with a very crispy, chippy brush. My friend Brandy from the DIY Struggle calls it the crispy bits. It just helps add texture to your paintbrush. So this paintbrush is super old and crispy. And that's what I'm doing right now. So I'm going to start off with this medium gray color and just dab it on. No particular reason, just wherever you want. I want a specific look, so you just keep dabbing it, kind of like you're stabbing your piece with a paintbrush. Is the best. Just pounce your paintbrush. You don't want to swirl your paintbrush. You want to dab it on there to give that galvanized texture. Once I was happy with the amount of medium gray on there, I go in and I do the same thing with a little tiny bit of black. Now this black, I take the majority of the paint off the paintbrush and I go in and I pounce it, just like I did with the medium gray color. This is a lot of fun to do. If you've never done this, I recommend you do this. You can use any paint you have on hand, as long as it's black. It doesn't have to be sequins black, but that just happens to be my favorite color in black, because it has a little bit of shimmer in there, and I think it when the light hits it, it kind of gives more of that metal feel, in my opinion. Okay, so I just go in and as you can see, I add some brushed metal, then I add some black, then I add some gray, and I just alternate until I'm happy with the look. Once I'm totally happy with the look, this is what it looks like. And then I want to add some rust to it. So I'm just going to add some antiquing wax to the same paintbrush, dab it off a little bit, and just randomly put it on the edges as well as some of the raised parts of the candlestick. Not too much, but just enough to give it a little bit of that farmhouse rustic feel, which I love so much. So that's what it's looking like. I think it's super cute. Fun, for sure. I love making fun decor because my family loves it and I love it. So that's what we do in this house. Okay, so I kind of messed up the terracotta paint. So I'm giving it one more coat in the same terracotta color. And once that's fully dry, I'm gonna go ahead and stack all of the pumpkins. Now, to help this look a little bit more organic, I did add some antiquing wax to this butternut squash / gourd creation. I know it's outside the box, But I like making different decor. You're always gonna find something new here, something kind of crazy, you know, but I really like it. I don't know, I can't explain it. Okay, so now I'm gonna go ahead with this E6000 and I'm gonna add some to the hole that we made at the bottom of this pumpkin. And I also add some hot glue for that temporary long-term hold. And I'm just gonna stack it on top of our butternut squash. Now I'm gonna add the little tiny one after it dries. I'm gonna add it like so. Now I do go back and add a toothpick for more stability and some more hot glue, but that's how it's turning out. I think it's so cute. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Now to add some more cuteness, I took some jute twine and I wrapped it around my fingers. I wrapped it around 2 fingers to be specific. And then I tied off one of the edges. I tied off the loop, sorry, with the double knot. And I'm sorry if you hear my kids. They're here. They're always here. I'm a mother of 5 and I DIY on my spare time. So I would love for you guys to join our crafty family. All right, so now I just cut off that loop and made kind of like a shabby, crazy bow. And I love it. I love the wild nature of it. And now I'm gonna make a little tiny bow, just a simple little bow using the farmhouse ribbon from Dollar Tree. And I'm running out of this ribbon and I'm so sad because I love this ribbon. I love this ribbon so much. Okay, so I fluff it up and then I hot glue it right at the top there, the center of this, and I think it just seals the cuteness. Let me know what you think in the comments below because I really love this piece. I know it's crazy, but it's all right. It's crafting. Have fun creating your home decor. Now to bring the twine to the bottom of this candlestick, I wrapped the bottom a couple times with some jute twine to help with that rustic nature. If you don't like these colors, you could totally use any colors you like, but these colors exist in nature, so FYI. Let me know what you think though, because I love it. Okay, this is our last project and we're making a wreath. I have this foam pumpkin. It's seen better days, but I'm too cheap to not use it. And on this channel, I love celebrating mistakes. So I'm gonna use this pumpkin because no pumpkin goes to waste. And I love pumpkins. I cannot say, I have so many pumpkins in this house. Okay, anyways, I could not find this specific size pumpkin at Dollar Tree, so I had to use this one because I had a vision in my head and I had to realize it. So anyways, I made a mixture in my last fall video. I'll link that video here if you're interested in more farmhouse decor. But I made this mixture of paint using a red-orange paint and a green paint. This same paint actually, the fiddlehead fern. I mixed those two together to make an orange color. Now I'm gonna go ahead once this is fully dry and I'm gonna accentuate the grooves of this pumpkin with this fiddlehead fern color. And I just think it adds a beautiful depth and it kind of looks like the pumpkins in Kirkland's. If you've seen the pumpkins in Kirkland's, you know what I'm talking about. They're so beautiful and realistic and I love the colors. Oh my goodness. Okay. Once this is fully dry, I'm gonna go in and I'm gonna dry brush the same orange color on top to help blend all the colors together and help them look a little bit more natural. Now you see that big crater in the front? I'm going to accentuate that because I feel like it looks more natural. I mean, if your pumpkin is too perfect, I don't know. I just feel like it's okay to have a raggedy pumpkin. I mean, I've seen them in nature. Okay, so I found these transfers. There you go. Transfers at Dollar Tree. I've never seen this one before. This is Happy Fall, y'all. I don't say y'all because I'm from the East, but I think it's so cute. So I used it. You can't really see the y'all on this orange color, but it's okay because the font on that Happy Fall is so nice and it kind of reminds me of the kind of font you would get on a Cricut. So if you don't have a Cricut, these transfers are awesome. So I used a craft stick to rub it on. You want to keep it very, very still. You do not want to push down too hard on your foam pumpkin because it will crack your transfer a little bit. So just use a craft stick, be patient, do not move the transfer at all. Keep it very, very still and then you should be totally fine. If you find that a piece of your transfer comes off, if you find that a piece of your transfer does not transfer properly, just put it right back where you want it to be and rub it off with the craft stick and you should be totally fine. Okay, so now we're going to use an 18-inch wreath form. You could totally use a 12-inch. I probably will use a 12-inch because this is a massive wreath and it takes about 4 hula scoops. Wow. It takes about 4 hula skirts to fully cover the entire pumpkin wreath. Wow, I have pumpkin on the brain. Okay, so as you can see, I'm just sliding the hula skirt underneath the outer edge of this wreath, and I'm folding it over the wire, the outermost wire, and hot gluing the raffia to itself. And when you come to an intersection piece there, I prefer hot gluing both sides of the raffia first and then cutting it, because that way the raffia doesn't slide off the string. It just makes it easier to hot glue both sides of the intersection and then cut the middle section. I hope you can see what I'm doing. So I do that for the full length of this wreath, and it takes about 3 raffia skirts to cover the outermost portion. But since this is such a big wreath, I say use 4 hula skirts. That way you can fill in any empty spots at the end of this wreath process. Okay, so now I'm going to go ahead and I cut about 7 inches in length. I'd rather it be longer than shorter. We could always cut off raffia, but you can't add on raffia. So keep it long for now, and at the end we'll trim this whole thing. And there is nothing more fun than cutting raffia. Like, it was an amazing sensory experience for me. Okay, so now as you can see, I cut off about a 3-inch section of raffia, leaving about 7 inches of length on the wreath, and then I just slide it through the innermost ring and just made a knot. Now these knots are they are slidable. They are going to slide around, and I like that. That way I can choose where I want to put this as I add the greenery, the leaves, all the fall things on this wreath. Okay, so we're also going to add some floral picks, and we're going to slide them into the knots of this. We're going to slide them into the knots that we're making. And I just continue doing this for all of the innermost ring on this wreath. It's simple to do, and I don't like hot gluing because I like reusing my greenery, and I like reusing every year. I change my fall colors. So I start off very traditional with the colors, and as you can see later in this wreath, I start moving away from traditional colors. And I really like that blue color for the fall. Are you guys into that color for the fall? Let me know in the comments below. All right, so now it's time to add the leaves. So once this wreath is fully covered with this raffia, I'm going to go in with these leaves. I got at Dollar Tree. I'm plucking off the berries as well as the leaves. I choose not to use the berries because it wasn't really what I was going for. I didn't use the gourd either, but I will keep them close by for another project because nothing goes to waste in this house. We use everything in this house. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and just pluck all the leaves off. I got 2 picks that are more of a yellow orange tone, and then I got 2 picks that are more of a brown and green tone, and I just like the variety it's going to add to the wreath. So first I'm going to go ahead and lay them out, spread them around so that the colors vary. I want there to be a brown, a yellow, a green, brown, yellow, a green. That's kind of how I chose to do it. That way the colors are more even around the whole wreath. So I lay the leaves all around this wreath first, and then I hot glue once I like the position of the leaves. Words, guys. Okay, so now once I'm happy with the position of these leaves, I'm going to go ahead and hot glue them inside of the ends of these knots that we made, hiding the base of the leaf. We want to hide the plastic because it's not cute to have plastic showing. We want this to look high-end, you know, so just cover the plastic on your leaves to the best of your ability. It's okay if a little bit shows, obviously. I mean, there's stems. It's fine. Leaves have stems, but I mean, that middle piece there that has the circle, we want to hide that with the raffia to the best of our ability. Just have fun, guys. When you're creating your projects, have fun. Don't fuss about the little stuff. I mean, 10 times out of 10, no one's going to notice what you're freaking out about. You know what I mean? Okay, so I go on and I just hot glue these leaves all around this wreath, and I'm loving the movement that the raffia and these leaves are adding to this wreath. Okay, so once we got that down, we're going to add these next picks. Now this is where I kind of stray from the traditional colors, but it's fine. I'm going to be making more wreaths for fall. I absolutely love fall, so every one of my wreaths is going to be totally different. Now I'm going to pluck off the tags, and I'm going to again arrange them first before I hot glue them. I usually like adding specialty picks in 3s or 5s. However, I found 4 of these picks at Dollar Tree. These blue picks with the cream pumpkins. So I'm going to add all 4 to this wreath. I add them on by sliding the stem into the knot that we made. And then I take the bottom of the stem and I wrap it around the innermost, the middle. I basically wrap it around the innermost wire as well as the middle wire that's in between. You could also use zip ties to secure this a little more, but honestly, the wire at the base of this stem pick is sturdy enough to hold it. I feel like Dollar Tree picks are a lot better quality now, and the wire is very, very strong. So if you get this, you'll see what I mean. I mean, it's kind of hard to explain through a video, but I take the stem, I just feed it through the knot that we made. You could also use hot glue at this point to secure it to your raffia knot. Then I feed the stem through the middle of the wire wreath form, and I twist it tightly around the middle stem. The middle wire. Sorry guys, it's really hard. The words right now are not coming to me. And I do this in different spots. Now, the pumpkin that we just made with the transfer that says Happy Fall, y'all, that's gonna be on this wreath. So I put 4 of these blue leaf picks equally spaced around, and I'm counting the pumpkin as the 5th special stem. So we still have 5 of the specialty picks on this wreath, because remember I said I like adding in clusters of 3 and 5 on a wreath. Okay, so now I'm going to use these dahlias. They're beautiful. They have that beautiful cream color that matches the pumpkins, and they also have a burlap texture to it that screams fall to me. So I'm going to go ahead and randomly put these dahlias where I feel that the wreath is a little empty. I slide the raffia knots we made up or down wherever I need them, leaving one section of the wreath empty. And that's where we're going to add our pumpkin, right at the bottom of our wreath. Now I use other picks that I have on hand, some sunflower picks, and I just take off the pine cones, and I just randomly hot glue the pine cones throughout the wreath. Now I decide to give the innermost part of the wreath a little bit of a haircut. I still want it to feel natural and rustic, but I mean, not too crazy, right? All right, so now this is where I want to put the pumpkin, at this empty spot at the bottom. Now to secure the pumpkin, I usually would use zip ties. It was late. I think it was like 1 in the morning. So I just opted for twine. Now it's gonna work fine. It's going on my front door, like my inside door. It's not going outside to the elements. If your wreath is gonna be outside, you probably want to secure it with more hot glue and more zip ties or cable ties. The pole ties, whatever you call them, the ties. Now I found this hardware in my stash and I think it's so nice. It's gonna add a high-end look to my pumpkin, because we're transforming this pumpkin from a $1 foam pumpkin, $1.25, sorry, foam pumpkin, into a high-end looking pumpkin with this hardware. So as you can see, I just hot glued it. Now I'm gonna add some cardboard to the back of it, making sure that the twine pieces I added, I hot glued to the back, are still exposed. Like, we wanna make sure that those are free so that we can attach this pumpkin to the wreath. So I just traced out some cardboard. I'm sorry, I cannot control the world. I'm in a city, it's so loud. Farmhouse dreams over here, yes, I wish. Farmhouse one day, not today though. So I apologize for the noise, all the noises, the kids, and the traffic. Okay, so as you can see, I just cut the shape by tracing the pumpkin, and I hot glued it like so. Be very careful because it's so hot and it takes forever for the cardboard to stick to the foam pumpkin. Like, I held it forevermore. Once it was fully secure on there, I go in with this antique gold color by Folk Art. Oh, it's beautiful. I love this color. And I fill in the little gap in the front there to celebrate the flaw in that pumpkin. And now I'm going to go in and paint the hardware at the top. You could leave it brown. I mean, brown is totally fine. I just don't go for brown usually. Well, this tone of brown in my hardware in my house, I usually go for like brushed gold, silvers, bronze, copper. So I'm just going to paint this hardware piece with this antique gold color. And I use a little paintbrush, and I just keep brushing until it softens the gold color. I don't want to see any streaks in the gold paint, so I just keep going back and forth with the paintbrush to soften that color. Okay, so now I'm gonna go in and I'm gonna use the leaves from the dahlia bush that we used on the wreath, and I'm just gonna stick those florals, the leaves, I'm gonna stick those leaves in the little holes there to kind of help give that wild nature to the pumpkin. And I cut off the excess once the hot glue is fully dry. I cut off the excess cardboard because we don't want to see that. That's not high end. We don't want to see cardboard sticking out of our project. All right, so that's how that's looking. And now I'm going to attach it to the wreath. So I'm going to nestle it in, make a little space for it. And then I'm going to flip over the wreath, and I'm going to feed it through the 2 middle wires. And it's kind of like a Where's Waldo, kind of like finding a needle in a haystack. I think using zip ties would be way better. But guys, it was late and I really wanted to make this wreath. I love this wreath. I really do. I mean, I think it's so fun, and it's huge. It's huge. It's 18 inches and it cost me about $20 to make. And it's huge. That's all I'm going to say. It's a massive wreath. Like, it makes a statement. All right. So once I found the twine pieces, I tied a knot. I tied a double knot as tight as I can, as tight as I could in English, as tight as I could. And then I secured it with hot glue and some more knots, because we don't trust twine on this channel. We have to put hot glue on all the twine. Twine is rebellious. Twine does not obey. If you love farmhouse, you know that twine is wild. So I go ahead, I double knot everything, I add some hot glue, and I do that for all 3 of the ties that we hot glued in the back of this pumpkin. So that's how it's looking. It's still a little bit too wiggly for me, so I do end up adding florals on both sides of these pumpkins The florals I chose are these white sunflower picks from Dollar Tree, and I love them. I love sunflowers for fall. Let me know if you love sunflowers for fall. I think they're just gorgeous. Okay, so I'm gonna go in, I'm gonna take this floral pick, I'm gonna bend it so that it can curve around the pumpkin, behind the pumpkin. I push the stem in the middle of the wire wreath, in the middle section of the wire wreath, and then I just wrap it around the wreath form. In a second, I'll show you exactly how I do it with the other stem I add on the other side. So you want to adjust your florals and your pine cones in different directions to add fullness to your wreath. This is the second pick I'm adding on the right side of this pumpkin, and I'm doing the same thing, just pushing it in behind the pumpkin, pushing it in as far as you can to kind of create tension behind this pumpkin so that it stays put. Now, as you can see, I'm curving the wire behind the wreath form, wrapping it around, going from the outermost wire to the innermost, and then to the middle. And it's snug, it's not going anywhere, but like I said, you could add any reinforcement, zip ties, whatever you want. Add whatever you want to your project, just to make it secure. I don't like using hot glue. Like I said, I like switching out my florals, so that's how I choose to do it. But I'm not a professional. I'm just a lady who wants to make a wreath for her home, you know? And I hope you find some inspiration in this video, some ideas that you'd like to try. Let me know what you like in this video. Which one was your favorite DIY? All right, so now I take off these stems off these tiny cream pumpkins and I paint them gold to kind of carry the gold throughout this wreath. And I set those aside to dry. While those are drying, I paint these stark white pumpkins that came on the sunflower pick. I paint those in a dry brush, kind of like a dry brush gold, in the same antique gold color. And I do that for 2 pumpkins. On your project, you could totally add more. Now, once everything is drying, I'm gonna give this a haircut. And this was so much fun to do. Oh my goodness. Cutting raffia is satisfying. Let me know in the comments below if you know what I mean. But I think it's a good time to run to Dollar Tree in the summer and grab these hula skirts, because these hula skirts will not be around in the fall. Ask me how I know. So I went and even if it's the child size hula skirt, it's better than no hula skirt. To hula skirt or to not hula skirt, always hula skirt, because it's perfect for your fall decor. So now I'm picking some of these pine cones off of the other picks I have at my home, and I'm just adding them randomly throughout. You could also add some more raffia knots around to help fill any empty spots on your wreath. And then to cover the hardware at the bottom of the pumpkin and help it feel more finished, I did add some of the raffia we cut off to the bottom of the pumpkin to cover the hardware and any cardboard that might have been showing. But this is how it turned out. I think it's so cute. But let me know what you think in the comments below. I want to thank you so much. If you're still here, your family, subscribe. Let's continue this crafty journey, this creative journey. Subscribe, it's totally free. Say hi in the comments. I would love to hear from you. And I would love to know what's your favorite project today. All right, so that's how they're looking. I absolutely love these projects. They're so much fun to make. The colors are so fun. And I do love neutral decor as well. If you want more neutral decor, I'll leave it right here. So today we're coming together to bring you some fall farmhouse inspiration. I hope that you enjoy. I used some items that were going to the trash. So I hope you find an idea or two to inspire you in your fall decor. These pieces are inspired by Pottery Barn high-end dupes. All right, let's get started. On potterybarn.com, I saw these candles and they were selling for ridiculous amounts.
Who is buying these candles? I don't know, not me. So I'm gonna go ahead and use this foam pumpkin from the Dollar Tree. I started off by cutting out a hole at the top with my X-Acto knife, and now I'm just inspecting the bottom of the pumpkin to make sure there's no holes. I'm gonna take all of the candles I had left over. These are Dollar Tree candles, nothing fancy. And I just chopped them up on a cutting board. I chopped up about 4 candles. I had this candle here with glitter, as well as another one with this marble design. So I just boiled it down. So once it was nice and melted, I carefully, yeah, right. I poured it into this foam pumpkin, and okay, it was kind of a disaster, but don't worry, just stick with me here. I used another candle that I had in my stash. It was like this brown wood scented candle that I just don't use anymore. And now, as you can see, it started leaking even though it had no holes. So what I opted to do was use some painter's tape and go around and tighten this pumpkin. Yes, it was 1 in the morning. This is what I do at 1 in the morning. What do you do in 1 in the morning? I make messes with candle. All right, so I just left it like so, and I let it dry overnight. So I just let it set overnight. And when I woke up in the morning, this is what it looked like. I strongly recommend doing this over a brown paper bag because it's very easy to get it off. And this is what it looked like. I did want to crack off that excess candle wax that kind of dripped over the side, and it was just so thick it was really hard to get off. So I just used a scissor, compromised the structure so that I'm able to crack it off, and then I went off and I melted it again because nothing goes to waste. I cracked off as much as I could off the bottom of this, and I did the same thing. So this time I'm letting it dry for about, I think, 8 hours. Now while that's drying, I'm going to show you another way to get the look, the Pottery Barn look for less. I popped off this beautiful stem from this little $1.25 pumpkin. It's a foam pumpkin, and I'm just going to cut out a size for a tea light candle. Very simple, not hard at all. So this is an easy alternative if you don't want to get wax messy. But once I cut out that hole in the center, big enough to get a tea light in there, I used some white wax and I just rubbed it. I apply a generous amount of white wax all over this pumpkin to create kind of a waxy look, and I popped the tea light in there, and that's it. Super simple, but you could still get the look. Now back at the ranch, the candle is now set. It has hardened, and now I'm going to crack it off. So I take off the painter's tape. Using my X-Acto knife, I cut along the seam that the foam pumpkin has. It was a little tricky, but you just got to keep trying to cut different sections. I didn't try to preserve this foam pumpkin, but it came off fairly easy. Now this is what we're left with. I thought it would have the ridges inside, but it's all right. Now you know that there would be no ridges, so we're just going to create some. I'm going to go ahead and use my X-Acto knife, and I'm going to score about 8 equal sections. Once I have those sections carved out, I'm just going to cut a beveled edge on each of those score lines that we made for the ribs of the pumpkin. So I just go along one side and I carve out at a 45-degree angle on both sides of that line we made. Very simple. Now the last layer of the candle wax that we poured is a little softer than the first amount we poured in. So it's a lot easier to carve out the top than the bottom. And this is good because we're going to need to carve out an area for the tea light anyways. So as you can see, I'm just doing the same thing on all the ribs, carving them out at a 45-degree angle on both sides of those ribs. And once you do all of the sides, this is what it looks like. Once all the sides are carved out, we go ahead and carve out the center. Basically just the space of that stem, and we scoop out the rest. Now, with the help of a wide popsicle stick, I was able to scoop out even more. Now, if you want, you could also heat up a spoon carefully and also scoop out some of the middle of that if your wax is harder than mine. All right, so then I just smooth out the ridges and any excess candle wax that might have shaved off, and this is what we're left with.
Now, you see that imprint? There's like a circle imprint on the side of the pumpkin. I just used some leftover candle wax from my work surface, and I just smeared it on there to kind of cover that imprint so that it doesn't look cheap and weird, and it looks high-end. So this is what we're left with. This is the last step, and I think this step is so important because it takes it from a boxy, weird pumpkin to a curved, more believable pumpkin. So now we're just adding the finishing details to our candle pumpkin. I'm going to go ahead and just cut off the rectangle edges around the center where the tea light goes, and I'm just smoothing them out, making them more of a rounded hill shape, and this really helps get the authentic pumpkin shape. So I'm trying to show you here to the best of my ability. I had just cleaned my work surface and I was not about to make another waxy mess. So I apologize. That's what it looks like once it's all cleared out. And you see how I was making it more of like a hill formation instead of a rectangular boxy shape? That really helps with the look. And now I'm just gonna add some ridges. So I'm just slashing the sides of the pumpkin with the same 45-degree angle technique, and just using my finger to rub in that indentation. It does not have to be perfect because pumpkins aren't perfect, and it's just beautiful when they're imperfect. Just make sure that when you make those grooves, you make it all the way to the bottom of your pumpkin, because this is a candle, so if you put it on a candlestick or something, you will see the bottom of this pumpkin. But I hope you give it a try. It's really not as hard as it seems. That's how it turned out. I popped the tea light in there. I will not be lighting this candle, however, and this is what it looks like when it's all staged with my other farmhouse decor on my channel. So if you want to see how I made anything else on this display, check out other videos on my channel. Alright, so for this next project, I saw this wreath at potterybarn.com, and they're selling it for a ridiculous amount I'm just not going to pay. I started off with this wood blend wreath, and it's small, but it's alright because I'm going to put it on a frame. So I'm going to use some antiquing wax and give it this rich color. It's helpful to use a bigger paintbrush, that way you're able to get more coverage. Use a big paintbrush with long bristles so you're able to go in between the wreath with no problem. Now to soften up the color after it's all full of antiquing wax, I go in with the paintbrush and some water, and I just take off some antiquing wax around just to add dimension to the color of the wreath. This is totally unnecessary. I'm just extra like that. So now I'm going to take all of the stems, all of the leftover flower picks from my floral picks, you know, the part that people usually throw away. I'm going to show you here how to use them for a project, because I'm sure all of us that love decorating our homes have a ton of these after we finish our projects. We use our florals, we use our leaves, and we have these floral picks just hanging around. So I took a variety. It's helpful for this specific fall wreath to have brown ones, but if you have green ones, it's totally fine. You could spray paint them outside or something. I don't have access to spray paint, so I always hand paint, but you know, you could spray paint them. It'll be totally easier for you. So I use all the picks, and I'm just bending them here. I also keep the ones that are like cut really short, because that's where I'm gonna adhere my pumpkins in a little bit. So this is my specialty pick. Yes, this is the bittersweet pick from Dollar Tree, and I just thought it was so beautiful. Once I removed all of those little florals and little berries, it just had the most whimsical, beautiful look. So keep your eye out for this bittersweet pick at Dollar Tree. It's just so beautiful. Even the brown color on it really has a beautiful fall effect. So that's going to be my specialty pick. All right, so now I have these 3 mini pumpkins. They're the ones that come on the picks. So my toddler decided to take a bite out of the pumpkin, and I guess he realized it was not a real pumpkin. But anyways, I'm gonna use them. You know, in this home, nothing goes to waste. If you're new around here, welcome. My name is Favi. I'm a crafty mother of 5, and I love making home decor on my spare time. Please subscribe. I would love to meet you. Say hi in the comments below, because I really do love talking to you guys. So as you can see there, I painted the stem in that silver color just to match the inspiration. And now I'm giving them a nice coat of sheepskin paint. Once that was done, I didn't
want the colors of these maple leaves to be so prominent. I wanted to soften them up, so I took some of that same sheepskin chalk paint and I watered it down, and I just gave these nice whitewash in this watered down paint, and I feel like it gives it such a beautiful high-end look. Obviously you can keep your leaves any color you want. I just really wanted to soften them up so that they're closer to the inspiration picture, and I do think they look really high-end. This is very easy to do. You could do this with any white paint, even the white paint at Dollar Tree. So I go ahead, as you can see, I'm making such a mess. I know all the DIYs in this video are kind of messy. All right, so now we're ready to assemble it. Everything is nice and dry. So I go ahead and I'm gonna add some Spanish moss to the wreath, and I'm gonna start off with little bits at a time. We just wanna add some more texture to the wreath. It helps give it more of that whimsical fall vibe. It's also gonna help us fill in the empty spots of the wreath, and it's easier to do this before you put the floral picks on. After I add all of these Spanish moss, I'm also going to go in and put some of this pipberry garland. When you put it on, you want to put it on loosely so that you are able to see it after you put on the picks. Also, at this point, I would have added the lights. So I want the title of the wreath in the Pottery Barn inspiration is Lighted Wreath. So it was an afterthought, and I just started adding on these picks, as you can see, but it would have been so much more helpful to add the added fairy lights. Sorry. Okay, so now I'm gonna go in and add these picks all around the wreath, and we're gonna keep them about 2 inches apart just to help the wreath look full. As you can see, I'm putting a variety of green picks, then brown picks, then green pick, then a brown pick. But really, it doesn't really matter depending on the look of your wreath, and if you spray paint yours, it won't even matter. But I had to hand paint them, and I just thought that it would help add some variety and some continuity to the wreath doing it this way. All right, so I'm gonna continue putting on these picks through the wreath. You want to be sure that you're putting them on very snugly. When you push them in, you want to make sure that they go into about 2 different sections of the wreath when you push it in, you know, so they're not wiggling about when you are moving your wreath around. But this is fairly simple to do. You could also use some hot glue or floral wire if you really want them secure, or if it's going to be outdoors. Mine is going to be in my house, so I'm not really worried about anything coming off. So now I'm just going to manipulate these to make them more open so that they make the wreath appear larger. So that's what I'm doing here. I'm just opening them up and, you know, seeing what any spots that are not so full. We're just going to add some more floral picks to make it appear more full. Very simple, and I think it's just very beautiful, and I'm so glad I'm just using stuff that would have ended up in the garbage. So I'm very big on saving and recycling and reusing, so I really love it. So now I'm going to use some of this multi-surface paint in the color Coffee Latte, and it's just going to give a nice soft color to the green parts of the wreath. Now I like the wreath as is, honestly. I think it'd be beautiful for summertime, but since we are going for fall inspiration, and just to keep this true to the original inspiration picture, I'm going to go ahead and paint this. It was a little time consuming, but you know, I enjoy creating, so I just wanted to take my time and paint this. If you don't want to do this, you could always spray paint. It's so easy. So as you can see here, with the power of YouTube, this is super quickly painted. So now I'm going to take some of these flocking balls from Dollar Tree. These were given to me by my sweet friend Jackie over at Jackie Burns Creations. I'll link her channel below. So here I'm taking some of that same Cafe Latte color, and I'm just dabbing it, kind of like pouncing the paint on this. And now I'm going to put in some antiquing wax, just a little tiny bit of antiquing wax on this small brush, pouncing it just like before to give it more texture and dimension and to give it fall vibes. So now I'm going to take more of that Spanish moss, but a tiny amount, like a pinch of Spanish moss, and I'm just hot gluing them randomly throughout. At the end of these picks, it's just gonna help make them look more expensive and hide the fact that these are just empty floral picks. So I really like the effect that this little tiny bit of Spanish moss gives. I feel like Spanish moss makes any project look very high end. So when you're at Dollar Tree, grab at least a bag. If you ever see Spanish moss, grab it, because I cannot always find it at my Dollar Tree. Now once these whitewashed leaves are dry, I'm going to go in and kind of cut the end of the leaf so that they are a perfect length to go into our wreath. It also separates them because they come in bunches of 2. So I'm just going to hot glue like so. I did speed this up because I appreciate your time. Thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate every single one of you and all of your support. Without you, I would not have a YouTube channel. So I'm just so grateful for you. Thank you for clicking on my video. I'm sorry if you hear my kids. They are always here. So I'm going to go ahead and hot glue all of these in a cascading motion along the side of the wreath. And it's helpful to look at your inspiration picture as you're putting in your florals so that you're able to maximize your leaves. So what I mean is, I am trying to space out my leaves about 2 inches apart from each other, making sure they're open and that you can see the full leaf. So if it gets kind of tangled in between the twigs, I'm sorry, one second. So once I put the leaves on the right side of the wreath, I'm going to go ahead and put the leaves on the underside of the wreath. So I start off by putting 3 of them kind of downward, pointing downward. Now I'm going to add some to the left side of the wreath, making sure that the stem has enough hot glue and that it's pushed in. So I'm just going to let you watch as I place these leaves so that you can see how I put them on. I believe that placement is very important. Where you place your leaves is very important. So now I'm going to go in and add some of these flocking balls, and I just attach them to the end of the floral picks. I don't use hot glue yet because I wasn't 100% sure on the position of these flocking balls, and I do end up changing them in a little bit. Now these pumpkins were looking a little too bright for me, so I softened them with some white wax. You could also use whatever cream colored paint you have just to soften the color of your pumpkins. Now I'm going to go in with some of this copper wire LED lights from the Dollar Tree, and I'm going to wrap them around. Now I wish I would have remembered to put them on right after I put on that pipberry garland, but it's all right. It's okay. You live and you learn. I start with the battery pack, making sure that the screw side is facing me. So the screw side is facing outward, so you're able to add batteries, replace your batteries whenever you need to. But first, I wanted to change the position of this flocking ball. It was kind of irking me. So once I change that, I turn this over and we're going to attach the battery pack right at this bottom of this wreath. So I'm just holding it in place with my finger because I still haven't adhered it fully. I did try hot glue and that did not work, so do not use hot glue. I'm actually going to use some zip ties in a little bit, and I'll show you how I use the cable ties, zip ties from Dollar Tree to adhere it. So I just go around and around adding this LED string lights, and then I just kind of manipulated them so that they are nice and snug on the wreath, like not tangled between those branches. So now I'm going to find a spot for this last flocking ball, and I just decided to put it on the inside of the wreath. So I took one of the branches in the back and I folded it over, going the opposite direction, and then I just added on the flocking ball
and then I pinched it really, really well to bend it so that it kind of folds over on itself. And then I added some hot glue. Now be very careful because I totally burned myself doing this. So I would suggest maybe using some floral wire or something to keep it in place. But yeah, I used hot glue and it hurt. So please be careful. So that's what I did for that flocking ball. And I like how random it looks. So then I just went ahead and secured that flocking ball in place. Now this is the battery pack. I just took some zip ties, 2 zip ties about 2 inches apart, and I used my scissors to manipulate it through the blend wreath. And I wanted to make sure they were far enough so that, and loose enough so I'm able to slide the battery pack in and out. So they're tight enough to hold the battery pack in place, but loose enough that I can slide it out if I need to. And that's how we're looking. I adjust all the branches and you know, any flocking balls to my liking. Now we're going to use the last floral pick, and we're just going to use this berry in this cream color. All of my florals are from Dollar Tree. Everything on this wreath is from Dollar Tree, so this is definitely a Dollar Tree DIY, but it definitely looks a lot high-end, a lot more high-end. I love making high-end looking DIYs with Dollar Tree supplies, so subscribe if you like that kind of stuff. All right, so now I'm just adding this berry pick. I think I use about 3 pieces, and I just put them underneath the pumpkins as well as on the right side of the wreath. I also secure that leaf to the berry pick so that the leaf stays nice and open. But let me know what you think about this wreath. I think it's beautiful, especially using things you would have just thrown in the garbage. Here's Pottery Barn's version of the wreath, and here's mine. You gotta let me know in the comments below what you think about this one. Here is that pumpkin candle with a tea light in it. It's not real fire, so just keep that in mind. I will never light that candle. And here's the other candle we made with the foam pumpkin. So let me know in the comments below what you think about these DIYs. They were so much fun to make. Here they are staged with all of my fall creations on my channel. Please check out my other videos if you'd like to see how I made them. As always, friends, thank you so much for watching. Please like and share this video if you can. It really helps me out. So today I have for you 5 projects, each under $5, using a Dollar Tree straw hat. So I hope you enjoy. Let me know in the comments below which one is your favorite. At the Dollar Tree, I picked up this tray. It's a pumpkin shaped tray and it's so beautiful as is. But I wanted to give it a little makeover. I made one of these in my previous video called Beautiful Floral Decor, and I was just so excited to try something else. So I took a piece of the straw hat from Dollar Tree. It comes in 3 colors, but I just chose the tan color because it was my favorite, and I just cut a strand off of the straw hat, and now I'm just using some hot glue, and as you can see, I'm just hot gluing it to the inner rim of this tray. What I'm trying to create is a straw layered piece just to add some warmth to my decor, and this tray would be so good for a shelf sitter or even actually a tray. You could also turn this into a riser, but I just love the way this turns out. When I got to the end, I cut the ends at a slant so that it wouldn't get too bulky around the stem. Now for the second go around, I'm going to add a little bit of hot glue and kind of overlap that second strand over the first, just slightly. So the second strand is going halfway on top of the original strand. And you want to use finger protectors because this is very, very, very hot glue. And I'm using a high temperature glue gun as well as Gorilla Hot Glue. So just go around, as you can see, making sure that everything is very flat as possible, so we don't have any bulges anywhere. And as you manipulate the straw hat piece, this strand, you are going to want to pull on it a little bit just to manipulate the direction of
this strand. What I mean is when it's on the hat, it's kind of in a curved formation, but you can see that you can just manipulate the direction by just pulling on the strand. So you want to keep the strand nice and flat and tight, but you also want to make sure that you are not detaching the previous part of the strand that you've glued on. So just take your time going section by section, and I just did this for the entire sides of the pumpkin. I don't do this for the entire pumpkin, it's a little too tiresome for me, so I just do this for the sides. I go around this tray 2 times, and then we're gonna go and cut shorter strands for the 2 sides of the pumpkin. I sped this up because I appreciate your time. I try to show you what I'm doing without taking too much time out of your day. If you're new around here, my name is Fabi. I'm a crafty mother of 6, and I appreciate every single one of you clicking on my video. Without you guys, I would not have a YouTube channel, and I just love this entire YouTube community and process. So I want to thank you guys so much for being here and getting crafty with me. Once that was done, I noticed that the hat was almost finished being used. So what I did was I just pulled off the excess of the strands, just making it small enough to cover that little space in the middle that we need to cover. So I'm going to go ahead and just add some hot glue and hot glue it using finger protectors with a little bit of the excess still hanging off the edge, because that's going to go up and cover all of our open seams at the top. So just make sure that you leave a open end when you are using that center piece on the hat. All right, so as you can see here, I'm just adding 2 little pieces there that are going to be showing. And if you were going to recreate this, I think you should just start at the top like so. Instead of cutting your piece right at the base of the stem, cut it at the top of the stem. Now I wanted to make it a little bit more rustic, so I added some antiquing wax to the top of the stem just to give it some dimension. You don't have to do this. I think it's stunning as is, but I just wanted to add a little bit extra. And then I went around the edges as well. Now the back part of this tray is silver, like a screaming silver. So if you're into glam, you'll probably want to use the white hat and keep this silver. But I am not into this silver, so I just wanted to tone it down a little bit and give it some of a rustic, kind of aged look with the antique wax, just so it's not so loud. Now, once that was on there for a couple minutes, I did wipe it off. And that's how that turned out. Let me know what you think about this one. I think it's the perfect tray for just holding some decor, or maybe a shelf sitter with your plates in your hutch or something. But let me know what you think about that one. Now for this next DIY, I'm going to be using these kitchen towels from Dollar Tree. I am obsessed with this pattern. I am so big on blue and white decor year round. So I just absolutely loved these kitchen towels. I picked up 4 of them, and they say that they're heavyweight, and they actually feel better quality than the original kitchen towels. I was totally shocked. So I gotta give it to Dollar Tree. When they do well, they do well. The extra 25 cents looks like it's paying off, in my opinion. Now I'm gonna go ahead and open this up. I'm gonna fold it over about 6 inches and cut off 6 inches of this fabric. I'm gonna do the same thing for the next kitchen towel, but I'm just gonna put it right on top to make sure I have my measurements right. It doesn't have to be perfect because we are gonna fold over that raw edge that we just cut. We are gonna fold it over and you're not even gonna see it at all. But basically, I'm just gonna cut this side off, and then I'm gonna hot glue all of the seams, leaving that raw edge open. I'm gonna take the extra fabric, save it for another project. You guys know, nothing goes to waste in this house. And I'm gonna go ahead and just hot glue the seams together, and I do this for all sides. Once the seams are all glued together, I'm going to stuff it with a regular, just standard queen pillow. I just have an extra pillow, I cut it in half, and I stuff this pillow with that. It's just the most cost-effective way I know to stuff a pillow. You could use the polyfill, or whatever you want to use. So once I stuff my pillow, I'm going to fold over that open edge with the raw. I'm going to fold over the raw edges that we cut to make it a nice clean cut across, and I'm going to hold the corners and pull them taut and hot glue it closed. And then once I do that, I take some of the straw hat and I'm gonna hot glue one side of the straw hat on top of this seam. All of the sides have that sun hat on there. So once I did that to all the sides on one side, I flipped it over and I added more sun hat strands to the other side. And I just lined them up according to that seam. So I just went along and just hot glued it, following all the seams on all the sides of the pillow. Now what you see here is I'm just gluing the two strands together and trying to keep them very straight up against each other so that it just looks nice and neat. When I get to the corner, I do cut a slant. I just make sure that the 45-degree angles on the corners overlap slightly so I can hot glue those together. But I've hot glued pillows in the past using Gorilla Hot Glue, as I did today, and they hold up very nicely. I've had a couple pillows for like 2-3 years. I've washed them in the washing machine, dried them in the dryer, and they hold up really well. So I hope this one holds up. I absolutely love this pillow. I love the colors. I love the trim on there. It might not be considered only for fall. You could use it year round, everyday home decor, but I used it for fall because I plan to make a pillow to match. I plan to make a pumpkin to match this pillow, and I absolutely love how it turned out. Let me know what you think about this one. I am so impressed for a $5 project. Now for this next project, I got one of these decanter vases from the Dollar Tree, and we're just going to use the same straw hat, and we're going to go ahead and just hot glue this to give it more of a fall look. So I'm going to start at the bottom there, as you can see. I'm just going to hot glue it all the way up, not all the way up, about halfway. But I wanted to add some kind of detail, some interesting design to this, just so it's not, plain. It looks beautiful plain as well. It's just, I wanted to do something special. So as you can see there, once I get to the spot where I started, I just slant it up just a little bit, and I'm going to go ahead and hot glue it as close to the previous strand as I can. And I'm going to go all the way around this until I get to the section where the vase dips in. So right on that curve, I decide to stop because the strand was now not able to wind around the same way. Now, if you are going around and you don't like the placement of your strand, you do have time to pull it up and kind of put it exactly where you need it. This one definitely has more of a farmhouse flair, but I love farmhouse. I love rustic, shabby chic decor. I'm very eclectic in my style. I love colorful decor as well as neutral decor. So You'll find all of that on my channel. So if you like what you see today, don't forget to subscribe. I would love to have you join our crafty family here on YouTube. If you're new here, please say hello in the comments below. I would love to say hi. I love reading your comments as well. Now, as you can see here, once I got to that spot where it was dipping in, I cut the end on a slant and I hot glued it in place. And I thought that was really cute. Now you could turn it this way or the other way, whichever way you like. And then I decided to take it a little step further and kind of give it some kind of shape. I don't know. I was having fun here, so you can stop at any point before this point if you don't like this part. But I just made these two little loops to look like handles, and I'm gonna hot glue them to both sides. And I thought this was just really cute, and it added kind of like a geometric-esque vase look to it. But like I said, you don't have to do this part if you don't like it. This is just for inspiration, so you know, do what you like on your project. Okay, so now I'm filling this in with other greenery I had on hand, and just to make it more fall, I decided to add a sprig of this I think it's called heather leaf, and then this other one of a pumpkin, and I think it's so sweet. Let me know what you think about this one. Super quick and easy, and we're still using the same straw hat, guys. Now this next project, I don't know what this is used for. Let me know in the comments below. It's called decor, like 90% of the decor in Dollar Tree. And it's a beautiful pumpkin. I don't like the color, I don't like the glitter, but I see the potential. We're gonna use this new paint from Folk Art. It's called Fired Clay. Oh my goodness, it's so pretty. It's like a coral and like a beige got together and had a baby, and this is just such a beautiful color. Fired clay for sure. So it's kind of like an orangey coral, and I thought it'd be perfect for this pumpkin. So as you can see here, I'm going in and I'm painting all of it. I love the shape of this pumpkin. I just don't like the colors of it and the glitter. I just painted over all of it. I didn't even bother trying to take the glitter off, and we ain't got time for that. I'm gonna give it all 2 good coats, heavy coats. And when I give it heavy coats, it kind of makes this felt more stiff. So now it's more of a stiffer decor piece, which I like. So I paint the bottom, as you can see, trying to cover that orange color. If a little bit peeks through, it's not a big deal, because, you know, pumpkins are orange. It's working for us. And I'm going to go ahead and paint all the bottom section there of the cutouts. Now I'm going to go in with this green color called Pine. And I'm going to paint the leaf. And this color I love for fall and Christmas decor. So I'm gonna go ahead and give this leaf, as well as a little tendril on top, about 4 coats, because this orange is strong. It's a strong orange. So once I'm done giving that this beautiful paint color, I'm gonna go in and with the straw hat. As always, back to the straw hat. Same straw hat, by the way. This was made before the first DIY you saw, which is why my hands were covered in paint in the first DIY. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and add hot glue, the same Gorilla hot glue in my glue gun, and I'm gonna go ahead and struggle with this glue gun. I think this glue gun is meeting the end of its life, but it's served me so well. I love this glue gun. I'm gonna go ahead and add this strand like so. And I'm gonna speed this up now because I'm just adding the I'm adding the hot glue, and I'm adding this straw hat. I apologize if you hear my kids in the background. It's past 4 o'clock, and we all know mamas, past 4 o'clock, the house is barely holding on. All right, so now I'm gonna go ahead and overlap the first one with the second one, and I love how it looks 3D and kind of gives the stem that feature, that 3D stem feature. So I'm going to go ahead and do that all the way down, putting 3 long ones for the long part of the peduncle or stem. Sometimes I try to cut the shape to follow the shape before I glue it on, but other times it was just easier to do it after. So you'll see that. I tried to cut that middle portion there, but it wasn't worth the struggle, so I just covered it all together and cut that last piece on a slant to kind of give it that finishing shape. Just make sure to overlap them. So once everything was glued down, I went in and added more hot glue and pressed it down so that it'd be flat, because I've decided that I want to make this into a rug. So I'm going to cut off the excess around the stem to accentuate that beautiful shape that was originally there to the best of my ability. And I'm just going to make sure that everything is very flat so that it looks nice and high end, and also no one is tripping. It's very important. So I'm going to use this dark gray ribbed rug, and I'm going to hot glue this pumpkin to this rug. I'm going to concentrate mostly on the edges of this, so my hot glue is going to be as close to the edge as possible on all of this, and I do it section by section so my hot glue doesn't, so that it doesn't dry. I do like to layer rugs, so this will be the rug on top of my other buffalo check rug on my front door. It might float around my house, I don't know, sometimes I change my mind. This rug will not be going outside to the elements. I have like a lobby area, so this is just going to be in front of my apartment door, and I think it'll hold up really. So this is what it looks like, and I'm absolutely in love with this rug. It was so easy to make on a budget, so I can easily swap it out for a Christmas rug when that time comes. But let me know what you think about this one in the comments below. For this next project, I'm going to be using a straw hat. Surprise, surprise. Now this is a brand new hat, obviously. I'm going to style this for fall. I've seen a lot of people using these straw hats for decor on their walls or in front of a mirror or hanging on a hook. So I thought this would be a perfect opportunity to just decorate one for fall. I started off by taking off that ribbon that was on there originally. I do love it. I just wanted to add something different underneath. I took some of this ribbon from the Dollar Tree. I believe it's called mesh ribbon. Sorry, it totally left my mind. And I found it in the floral section at Dollar Tree. Anyways, I'm just gonna hot glue the ends like so, and then I'm gonna go ahead and add that ribbon again. I just really like the cottage vibes this is adding. I think this one would be more cottage core aesthetic, I'm guessing. I don't know, I just think it's cute. Now I'm gonna add on the other ribbon. This is giving me kind of like the woodsy vibes, a soft, ethereal, whimsical type decor piece. So I'm going to go ahead and add little sections of hot glue to the ribbon just to keep everything in place. And then I'm going to just cut off the end. Now I looked around the hat and I tried to find a place where I guess was the ugliest hot glue spot. And that's the spot I'm going to cover with all of the decor. So this spot right here is the ends of the ribbon, the ugliest part. I'm going to take some of these maple leaves from Dollar Tree and I'm just going to pull some off the pick. And I'm going to hot glue them like so. I keep them connected together so that they do kind of have that floating in the air effect. And then I'm going to attach a set to each of the sides of the hat. So as you can see there, I just added a whole bunch of hot glue to the base of those leaves. And now I'm going to go in with some of this lavender. So I just use my big scissors and I slice the floral pick a couple times, and then I wiggle it back and forth just to get it off of the pick. And that's my favorite way of taking off florals. And I'm going to go ahead and just position these lavender like so they look like they're draping off the hat. And I add a ton of hot glue here. Be careful because you can burn your fingers underneath the hat. I did not, but there's little holes there, so be careful. Now I'm going to pin down the leaves a little bit by adding a little tiny bit of hot glue to the corner of the maple leaf. I think that when you add the hot glue, it's better to add it to the actual veins behind the leaf so you don't see the hot glue marks on your actual project. But now I'm going to add a little bit more of the lavender, and I just like the deep colors. I really like those colors for fall, so that's why I'm using lavender, but feel free to use any florals you have on hand. I'm going to go and add more leaves because it's fall after all, and I'm going to add hot glue just to tack them down open. And this is how I'm adding the leaves. Now I was going to use these florals on the side there, which would be gorgeous, but I decided against it, and I'm going to add one more maple leaf in that blush pink color right in the center. Now I'm going to get that original ribbon that was on this hat and the previous hat that we used for our other projects, and I'm going to make a very simple long bow. At first I thought I was going to make like some kind of double bow, some little double bow, but I think the long strands look really good. So here you see I'm making the double bow, and I don't hate it, but I just wanted a long droopy bow, and I've only decided that after making this. So I just put it up against the project, and I was like, no, I don't know, I kind of want it to be kind of romantic, shabby chic like. So I kind of liked how this one looked more simple and effortless and ethereal. So I'm going to go ahead and just recreate that on this ribbon. And once I did that, I liked it way better. So I'm going to go ahead and just make the tails very long and double knot it to lock it in place. Then I hot glue it right in the center of all those leaves, and I hot glue the other one like so as well. And you gotta let me know what you think about this one, if you would give it a try. I think it's so romantic, it's so pretty for fall, very vintage and cottagecore. But let me know what you think about this one, because I really like this one. It might be my favorite, but let me know what you think, because that's what matters after all. All right, so that's how it turned out. Let me know. Like I said, I absolutely love this one. I love the leaves, and the colors are so soft for fall. Definitely a different spin on fall, but as you know, I love making unique home decor. So I want to thank you so much for watching, guys. I appreciate it. Thank you so much, every single one of you guys. If you like this video, found an idea you like, don't forget to hit the thumbs up button. It really helps me out on YouTube. And if you like what you saw and you want to see more of what I make in this house, subscribe. And I don't know what I'm going to post, so if you hit that bell, you won't miss a video, and I'd love to see you again. Thank you so much for watching, friends. Take care. God bless. I'll catch you on the next one. Bye. If you like this video, here's another one you might enjoy.